Hey everybody, my name is Ashish Kanal and you're listening to the Aim High Show, a podcast about overcoming challenges and becoming the best version of yourself. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Aim High Show. My guest today is Sophiya Thakali. She's an entrepreneur and an owner of a popular Nepali restaurant called Tasty MoMo, which is located in Boston, Massachusetts. Her restaurant has been serving delicious momos and other Nepali delicacies in the Boston community for the past 7 years. She has been featured on the NPR, Boston Globe, Boston Voyager, Good Food Channel, and other local media outlets. Tasty Momo has a Yelp review of 4.5 stars, and according to one of its reviewer, I quote, "Most definitely one of the best Nepalese Tibetan momo in the whole of US. Being a Nepali, I try to eat at Nepali restaurants everywhere I go, and by far this is one of the two best momo you can find in the US. It's a must try. After a month of my first time visit at Tasty Momo, I was in New York City and I drove to Boston and back just to eat here." So I think it's safe to call her the Momo Queen for bringing momos to mainstream American market in the Boston area. Having said that, she also holds a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance and has worked in corporate America as well. I'm fascinated by her journey of coming to US as an international student, getting her degree in accounting and finance, to starting a Kickstarter campaign to fulfill her dream of opening a Nepali restaurant all on her own. So without further ado, Sophiya Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mai. Wow, that was such an introduction. Thank you.
So Didi, I'll go back to how I came to know about you. It was through our mutual connection, Ashutosh Sai. I remember back in 2015, he used to just rave about your place and how great the momos were. He used to drive from New York to Boston, make a round trip just for the momos. You know, for me, I knew about you, and knowing someone who is from the same background, who speaks like me, who came in as immigrant, and has started something, that's a bigger inspiration for me. That someone with a similar background has started something, so it gives me the inspiration and hope that I can go ahead and start something of my own. But I want to go back to the early days of Tasty Momo because while I was doing some research, I found out that you started it from your apartment even before going to Kickstarter campaign and all. Can you give us a little background on the early days of Tasty Momo and how it all got started?
So let's go back to 2012. That's when I picked a name for the restaurant. I knew I was gonna own something like a restaurant or a shop or convenience store, but I just didn't know what I really was gonna do. And then, but since I'm so known for momos, I always make momo. I make momo for everybody. And I used to work at a bar. It's in Cambridge. It's 15 minutes away from where I used to live. And I had so many customers, and I used to tell them about Nepalese food and momos, and I would bring them momos. And that's when everybody loved it, and they would push me like, you should start one because there's no such place where you can have momos. And that's how it all started. It's from my friends, family, and my customers. They just gave me a push and motivated me, and I said, oh well, I should just open a restaurant or small takeout. But nothing was planned. Nothing ever was planned. I just wanted to open a shop, momo shop. And then in 2012 I went to City Hall to register for the name, and I didn't even know the name of the restaurant. I just went and I'm like, hey, I want to start a business, and I'm trying to register for it because I read it online that you have to register for it. So I went there, and so I was talking to the guy and this from the city guy, and I told him, hey, what should I name my restaurant? So it was that hard for me to pick a restaurant. Then I said, what are you trying to open? What kind of food? And then I said, it's going to be Nepalese food, but basically, mostly it's just momo. And he goes, momo? What is momo? Then at that time I thought, since they don't know what momo is, because it's more, my platform was the Americans, it was just not Nepalese. So that's when I decided to pick a name, and he said he doesn't know Momo. So I said, you know what, I should just put like tasty or delicious or something in front of Momo so that they know it's a food. So I kept my name, I kept the restaurant's name Tasty Momo. That's when it all started. I registered for it, and then it kept going after that.
So I, I think whenever we're like starting, something new, the hard part is at the beginning, right? So, we all have the dream and vision of like starting something of our own, but when we come, especially when we come to U.S. or outside of Nepal, we have this added pressure to be something, do good, have that career
Mhm,
and focus. So I always admire people who take a leap of faith and go follow their dreams. But I know there's a lot of challenges to be able to get there, because it's not easy, right? You have certain lifestyle, and then to start something from scratch, there are a lot of things that you have to consider, along with hard work. So I noticed you had started a Kickstarter campaign back in
mhm.
2015 to raise the funds for construction cost. But in order to get the full funds, I believe you have to meet all of your goals, and I
Yeah.
think you only met one third. So I think I'm not sure if you got the funds or not. And you also mentioned on the Kickstarter page that the banks weren't giving restaurant loans.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to know what were some of the challenges, in the early days, and how were you able to overcome them?
So yeah, I started Kickstarter. That was not just for the money, not just for the fund. It was more for advertising and marketing because back in the days, having we had social media, but it was not like right now. It was not like no, everybody didn't know about it. I did marketing through Facebook, and Instagram was just up and running, so it was hard. And then me having no family here, I have my uncle here, but besides that, like my mom and dad, they're all in Nepal. And then my friends, I mean, all my friends here, we are all in the same page, working, having two jobs, going to school, and graduating. It's tough financially wise, and also time management was very very hard. I had another job. I had two jobs, like I told you before. I mentioned I used to work at a bar, and that job, and then I had an accounting job in the morning. I was trying to save up money to open a restaurant, and not just that. There were other challenges too, because I was not um, I was not very confident as a person. I mean, I knew what I was gonna do. In deep inside, I knew what I was gonna do. I had my path craved for it already. But I mean, to go forward, you need a push, and you need enough funds, and not just not enough funds. Like you need to be smart enough to go out and tell everybody and ask for a loan. And I went to the bank, and they told me, so applied for, I wrote a business plan, and they told me, so you don't have a business yet. You need to be in business for 2 3 years to get a loan. That was very upsetting for me because it took me more than a month to write a business plan, and the cost of food, and how much I was going to sell, and if I sell this much momo or like food in a month, how much money I was going to make. I had everything laid out, and it took me a while, not just a month, but but accurately a month. Then I went and I got rejected for it. Then that's when I started Kickstarter. And like I told you, Kickstarter was just not for the fun. That's why I had put it the amount very high. I put it 15,000. I think I don't remember anymore. I think it was 15 or twenty
I think so.
thousand.
Yeah,
But
15,000.
yeah, it was right. Yeah,
Yep.
it was a lot of money, and I knew I was not gonna get that much money because it was not like it was not like nowadays. It's not like every American or anybody would know about it. It was only few it was just around my community, like Nepalese community, that they knew, or like few customers they knew about the momo place that I was going to open. They were the only ones who put in the money for me, and I just want to thank them so much. I didn't take any money, but just to support me, that was so great of them, and I'm forever grateful for that. And otherwise, and as for the time management, I used to get up at 6 sometimes 8 in the morning, and I was starting business from my home because I wanted to market for it. I was just staying home and then working, making momos all by myself, doing I didn't have a car, so I used to ask my friends for a ride to get groceries done. Then I used to go get all my stuff from Restaurant Depot, and then I used to get dumpling wrapper, momo wrapper from outside. So I used to go there, have a ride. Sometimes I used to take cab rides. It was so much at that time, and but then it never felt like I was working a lot. I knew I was working hard. I was struggling to get somewhere, but my
Mm-hmm.
whole aim was to get the restaurant open because I was already having there was no fun for me, so I was trying to sell momo from my house to my friends and family and collect the money while working at another job. And I had an accounting job at that time too, which I eventually had to quit because of the time management. I couldn't focus on three, four different things. So that was very challenging for me. And being one woman and doing everything was a lot. People thought that I will not be able to open a restaurant or it's going to fail. I heard so many things from other people, and that really didn't let me down. It did for a split second, but then I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. That just that was me. And that's always been me, and I'm still the same.
I have a couple of things that I want to ask. One is, you said about time management, managing two jobs, and also, like starting something. Even though it was, from your apartment, you at least went ahead and started it. It's a challenge that I have within myself too. Like right now, I'm launching the podcast, right? So it took me a lot of time to um, get the initial setup ready and
Mm-hmm.
get it started. Do you suggest someone when they're like trying to start their own business, is it a good idea to go like all in, or do you since you have done it with having a job on the side, how does that work out? How long should you wait till you start?
So there is no time frame for when you want to do it. It's all in your heart. That's how I feel. If you think you should do it, you should go for it. But to me, mostly it was the financial problem. So I had to pay the rent. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if my parents were here, I could have asked them for help and just keep going. But because I have my own problems, things cannot be related between you and me. But like I said, I can just tell you, just go for it. Don't wait for anything before somebody else does it. And managing time is was very hard for me. I had to. I told you. I think I got up. I used to get up at 6, and then do some of my works, and then works as in my Momo work, and then go to work around 10 o'clock at my accounting job, and then be back by 5, and then again be back by 4. I get done at 4 and 5. I used to go do my uh, the restaurant job, and then get done by 3 or 2:30. Come home, then again get up at 5. That was the time. That's why I quit my morning job because I wanted to focus more on making Momo. So I quit that job. Then I used to work actually twice a week at a bar job after I quit my accounting job so that I still have the source of income to pay the rent. If I'm not making money at home, then there is no way I make money anywhere else. And with all the saved up money that I have, I wanted to start construction of the business, which was actually in the process. So yeah, you should go for it. I think anybody who wants to do something, who feel it's a it's just like it has to be in your heart. You cannot just think, should I do it? If you're so perplexed about it, that's really not a good thing. You should know in your head and your heart. It's For me, momo is like, it's a food not just for taste, but it's more for, like, it cleanses my heart and soul and mind. When I eat it, it just makes me happy. So I knew I had to do it. And if you feel the same way about your podcast, you should not wait. And I know you're doing it, but if there are other things that you want to do, go ahead and do it.
I agree with you. I feel the same way about the podcast. It's something, right now. I don't have like the monetary goals out of it. It's something that I love doing it. It's a way for me to express, and my way to share idea and bring stories like yours, so that it inspires others. There's like a lot of challenges right now. I'm doing everything on my own, so from booking guests to
There you go.
researching.
You have to do
Yeah,
it. Yeah, me
yeah.
too. I was an accounting for my business on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I was one person doing everything. Later, I hired people, but then, I have to manage my employees. And then, in the meantime, when I just opened the restaurant, like after 3 or 4 months of opening the brick and mortar of my restaurant, I got a dog. So I had a puppy, and it was so hard for me, even harder, because I could not. I had no idea what I was doing. I seriously had no idea. I'm like, why did I even get a dog while I'm already so busy? And then everything happens for a reason, and this is good, actually, that when everything falls under your roof, then you decide. You Some people get frustrated, but some people try to take it, learn it from that way, I
Right,
think.
right. Didi, I want to quickly go back to your answer. You said, you were this, solo female entrepreneur, and a lot of people were doubting you, saying like, how can you manage to do all, especially coming from, accounting background to starting, something like restaurant where there's a lot of risk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people, some of them would have probably been your friends, and I read this article about you on Boston Globe from 2015, where you were quoted saying, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. It's one life. If I don't do it now, it'll never be. To me, that says a lot about you and the type of person you are. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious to know, like, if you were always this determined and confident, did you had this confidence in yourself, or was it your upbringing that helped you to think this way? Um, just like, where does your inspiration comes from, and or is it something that you had to gradually build and become better and build that confidence?
Well, my parents had a restaurant. Not my parents, my family had a restaurant back home. But I was there not working or helping them around. But I knew they have a restaurant. I stayed in boarding school all my life. So I wanted to come to America. That was my decision. And then opening a restaurant was my decision. So I feel like it was a part of me to, like, it's called, how young youth nowadays call it YOLO, you only live once. That was me
Right.
all my life. Yeah, that has always been me. I'm scared inside sometimes of failing. Back in the day, I was really, really scared of failing. But I was like, if I don't, it's always been to me. So if you don't start somewhere, you're not gonna get at some point. And even if you start and you fail, it's good. If you don't fail, it's great. But if you fail, it's good. You know why? Because you're gonna learn why did you fall, and you can come up with many ideas how to succeed in things that you fail.
Right.
That has always been me. Yeah.
Right. And I agree with you, Didi, on that. And one of the previous guests on the podcast said the same thing about failure. That a lot of
Mm,
times we especially in the immigrant community, right? There's a big emphasis on being successful, and failure is looked upon as negatively, and
yes, yes,
one or
that is
two
the wrong way to look at it. Yeah,
right, one or
that
two
is that is.
failures, we just like feel like so depressed. But like you said, right, it's an opportunity to learn and grow at the same
Mhm, mhm.
time.
Yes, yes. When you learn, then that's the only way to grow. I mean, it didn't come to me in one split second. Oh, you're gonna do this. You're gonna have this life. It didn't come to me. I knew what I was gonna challenge. With all this course of time, like learn, trying to open a restaurant. I knew the challenges that I was gonna face, and I was ready for it. It didn't obviously sometimes I would be like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just tired. That came to my mind too. But I wanted a financial freedom. I wanted to be my own boss. I've always been like that. I've always been somebody who's like, I want to be the in charge of everything. That is just my character. and that is my personality, behavior, anything you ask my friends, that's just me. I have to be the in charge of everything, but in a positive way. If somebody I take if they say something, I'm not that kind of person who will be like, oh no, it shouldn't be that way. It should be the way that I think. I don't think that way. I take all the opinions, and I want to be the in charge. So that was also one reason why I wanted to have a restaurant.
I mean, this is so inspirational. Somebody going after their dreams, um, and actually making it happen despite what other people think. To be able to believe in yourself.
Yes,
So
it's not about being successful. It's just not about being successful. It's more about what I think. I see a lot of youth, and a lot of youngsters not starting anywhere, because, or not even, some people don't go to school, and some even go to school for no reason, because they just have to graduate. Some like students like us, international student like us, and I feel bad for them, because you're just wasting time. Use your time wisely and effectively in things that you want to do. Don't. For us, it was hard, because international students had to go to school. They had to be in the visa, otherwise you would be illegal here. So that was one reason why everybody went to school. I did go to school knowing that I wanted to do something in life. I still went to school. I graduated. I even joined the master's program, and then I quit it, because I thought I was not ready for school at that time.
one thing I want to go back to is being international student, and I want to quickly ask you about that experience. And one thing I want to add is that both my previous guests came to us as an international student, and I feel like they have this like chip on their shoulder, like you got to make something happen. Can you share like some of your experience being an international student, how that impacted you? What are the challenges that you have to go through as an international student? Can you
Hmm.
tell us like what that experience was like for you?
I first came to Missouri, and then I went to Ocean City, because I heard that so the first semester my family paid for it. And after that, I was on my own. Then I was thinking, how would I be able to do that? And then we had 3 months of summer vacation, and we went to, one of my friends helped me. She told me we should go to Ocean City to work. That's where you see, everywhere you go, you see Nepalese people working.
Yeah.
Then I realized, okay, this is what you're supposed to do in summer. And I worked there for 3 months. Then I asked my friend, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna go back to Missouri, or what is the plan? And my friend knew, she knew one of her for far relatives. She lived in Massachusetts, so she said, okay, let's go there. I have an aunt there. I said, okay. I didn't even think of it. I said, okay, I'll just follow you. Then we came to Boston, and it was very, very hard for me, because we were looking for apartments, and because I had nobody over here, and my friend only had an aunt, so we stayed at her place for 2 weeks. But how long can you stay at some place for more than 2 weeks? And then we found an apartment. We lived there. I started looking for job. I used to go knock at. So there's a Massachusetts Avenue. That's the only avenue that I know. It was like, it was not even near from my house, but I used to, because I see lots of stores there, so I used to go there and knock at every door, and I would say, hey, do you have a job for me, or are you hiring? So it, because I need to have enough money to pay rent, education fee, and then of course I would like to eat outside sometimes, or shop for ourselves, or buy computers for school. It was really, really hard. And then we had, after that, I started to settle, and we had I had 2 jobs. I worked at a restaurant again, then in a store. So I and then I go to school after that. I started school. It was so hard for me, because I used to get up by 7, go to school, and the schedule was very, very hard to maintain. Then at one job I had to be there at 4. The other job I had to be at like some different hours. Like, managing time was so hard for me, and I used to just sit and tell my friends, oh my god, what are we doing? This is, I didn't think America would be like this, like coming to America for education. But then we had to do it. The thing is, we have to do it because we don't want to be illegal in America. We want to keep going, keep going, keep studying and finish our degree and then find a job. And that, like, I think every Nepalese nowadays it's a little easier. I keep telling people that it's a little easier because they have Facebook and their bus schedules come sometimes. Before that, we didn't have cars, so transportation was really hard. We had to take a booklet from a stop and look at the time, like, okay, the bus is coming at this stop at 7:15 a.m. So we had to be there, like, get ready by 6:30, be there, but because we didn't want to miss the bus. If we did it, then take another half an hour, we would miss the class. So nowadays the kids, they have Uber, they go everywhere in Uber. It's easy for them. It's
Right.
easy, and they can find. They have Facebook. They have good network, I would say, and they can find jobs everywhere. At our time, 14 years back, it wasn't like that. I, I did quite have, like, difficulty in figuring it out myself, and the study, like, the study abroad thing, it was hard for me. But I graduated eventually. So with help of my friends and family, with their support and motivation, that helped.
Right.
You always need somebody around to help you with, just emotionally too. And it was hard emotionally because you at that time too, you have nobody around you and you're still working. You're so, what do you call that, you're doing same monotonous, school work, school work, school work, because you have to survive. Yeah, it was hard thinking about those times.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But beautiful in its own way, I would say that. But beautiful because if that was not the life, then I wouldn't be able to struggle later. You know.
Right. I agree with you. And I have, a tremendous amount of respect for people who come in as international student, because
Yes.
it's not an
Mhm.
easier path to, you can, obviously, there are like some like exceptional, students, that they get the job right away. But even for them also, it's not an easy route, right? Because one thing is like, obviously you have to focus on the studies, but the other thing is that you're worried about the, the visa status and what's going to happen if I don't. So the mentally
Yeah.
it's very draining.
And you
So
cannot take online class. There was no such thing as online class at that time. So you have to be physically attending the school every day. Otherwise, you would be, they, like, the visa is canceled if you're not physically in school. Like, it was, it's different now and then.
right, right.
Yeah, I give, like, anybody who comes here for education, I salute them.
Also, this is interesting. So I read on your Kickstarter, right, that one of the things you mentioned during your Kickstarter campaign was that it was your parents' dream to see you become a CPA.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what was the conversation like when you told them you're going to start a restaurant instead of pursuing a career in accounting? Did you had like I'm sure there was a lot of convincing, but I
uh,
think it's important for people to learn, how to like fight for your dreams.
mhm.
Or I may be wrong. Your parents were super supportive from right from the
Oh,
get
well,
go.
I wish they were. Still now, my family thinks, why do you have a restaurant? They keep asking me, why do you have a restaurant? You should still, like, you should go back to what you were doing, accounting job, and just be happy with what you had. Because owning a restaurant is very, very challenging. No, I'm not lying. It's managing people is hard. Being your own boss is really, it doesn't come, it doesn't come just like that. It's not, it doesn't come like in a snap of finger. It takes a lot of time. And then my family were like, what, when I told them. So listen, actually in 2013 I went to Nepal and I made a banner of Tasty Momo. I told my dad that, hey, I want to open a restaurant, so can you make me banner? And I didn't have the Tasty Momo logo though, but so that's why I said, just put Tasty Momo, and then they made a big banner for me, and they said, wow, what is this, why, who is this for? And I said, this is for myself, I'm opening a restaurant when I go back. This is why I went back to Nepal in 2013. So I said, this is the, I don't know, this would probably be like not the last time, but I don't know when I'll be seeing you. Because once I open restaurant, that's why I came to Nepal to visit you guys. Because I don't know when I'll come back again. So, and they were like, they were shocked. They were like, "What are you doing? Like, please, please, do not open a restaurant. It's not a good idea to have one. Have you not seen us struggling so much? Like, with all these staff not coming to work, and not just that. You have to be the financially fully funded, and all the time the cat, do you even know about cash flow and everything? They were like, just go back to accounting. You were, I don't know why you quit your, I quit my job and I went to Nepal to just so I can open a restaurant. So my parents just, they still think it's not good. They always have, they have restaurant, but they think I should just be a CPA. Like, they think I should go back to school, and since I did only bachelor's, so they want me to go back to the CP, and I told them I just cannot do school anymore. I don't think I can look at books and read and do anything. That's not me. I would physically work harder, labor job, and they're happy as in like they're happy to see me happy, but deep inside I know all my family still thinks I should just close the restaurant and go back to being a CPA.
Wow. Well, yeah, it takes a lot, honestly, Lily, to be able to, stand up for your dreams. And, obviously, parents and families, they're always looking out for you. But,
Mm-hmm.
like you have your vision of like how you want to live your life. So, big props to you for, pursuing
Thank
that.
you.
And you've been able to do it for, 7 years now. So,
Yes.
it's not like because a lot of restaurant business, it's not easy from what I hear from a lot of people. So to be
Mm-hmm.
able to run it for such a long period of time, um, you've been able to do it, a lot of things in the right way. So
Yeah, it is difficult at times though, because the only reason why I still have the restaurant going is because I work there physically. I don't have I have people helping me. I have a whole team, but I've been working there by myself. I go there even though I sometimes I spend like half the day with my dog at my home, or like just work in computer or do account. I do my own accounting, and then I go there every night to check on how it's the consistency and quality of the food that has to be in there to succeed or have a business for so long. It doesn't come easily. I don't go on vacations. If you've heard, I go on 1 day vacation or 2 day vacation. That's about it.
wow.
Or if some of my friends are getting married, then I go fly there, just attend the party, and the same night I will come back to I'll come back to Boston, go straight to restaurant, check what has been done, what hasn't been done, and I marinated Momo overnight. So that's my job. I don't let anyone touch the meat or veggie, whatever we are making the next day. That's it comes with it. It's
Yeah,
you have to do it.
true.
And also, I forgot to mention you about the earlier question about my parents. So my mom would call me. So we need to have a recipe for everything, and so I'm always thankful for her though, because she would tell me, okay, this when I tell what do you put in that certain food, and I would tell her I would do this and the step by step, and she would tell me, well, I think because they have a restaurant, I think it'll come just, to taste it better, you have to do it this way. This should be that you should eliminate that ingredient and add this one. She's always been supportive of that, because now it's already there. I cannot close the restaurant. She's always been helping me with the recipe though.
Let's go into Tasty Momo. First of all, can you describe what type of restaurant Tasty Momo is? I know you were in the process of expanding it from what it was before. Can you tell
Mm-hmm,
us, what people can expect when they visit, and is it going to be in the same location or you're moving to a new place?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I had a very very small takeout shop, and then we moved last year just before COVID. We moved just across the street, like it's just right across where I was before. So we didn't, location wise, we didn't move anywhere. We're still there. You just have to turn your back and then look. We'll be right there, and it's a bigger restaurant. We have seatings for about 25 people, and then we have a very very big kitchen. Before we used to have the restaurant in 500 square feet with the restroom and all the appliances, my kitchen, and the sitting area. We only had like it was congested. We could only fit like 8 or 7 people, but you had some of them had to stand up while eating. And now when I moved to bigger restaurant, you'll see there's two pictures. I'm Thakali. My background is Thakali, so you see two girls in my door, on my door, the pictures of two girls wearing Thakali traditional dress. That's just to be an authentic. And then you'll see, when you open the door, you'll see just tables and few sittings, like I told you, 25. And then there's a big, big kitchen. We have a very big kitchen, very big prep room. We have, now it's much bigger. It's 1200 square feet. From 500, I've moved to 1200 square feet actually. So it's more like casual dining.
Okay. Yep.
That's what you should expect when you come to Tasty Momo.
I remember coming to your restaurant, the first one back in 2016. It was I think New Year's Eve, so I brought my friends there who hadn't tried Momo, so they enjoyed it. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was when I looked at your menu back then, it was a very small setup, right? Like you said, there was like a standing row, and then four to six seats maybe.
You could just like you have to like touch each other to stay in
Right.
that spot.
Right. And I noticed you only had like I have it here. Your new menu is expanded, but the old menu only had like 5 or 6 items. What was your idea behind having the minimal menu?
Mostly, it's the Momo that I wanted to introduce to the Americans, and when you just by the name Tasty Momo, of course I would have like the Momo, but my menu actually looked really small. But then I had Momo in different, like you could make it pan fry, chili momos. You could have that in soup, So it actually was a lot of work, though. It just looked like 5 menu on the items, but with momos you can do variety of things.
Right.
And then the reason for a smaller menu was obviously the space was so small. I only had like 2 freezers, one fridge. I can store a lot of food, and also for the consistency of the food. It's a comfort food. When you go somewhere, what are you gonna order? If you go to a Chinese restaurant, you'll definitely order fried rice and some dumplings. So having Nepalese, it's a little similar kind of food. So what are you gonna order? And my aludam is very popular though, because we
I've
didn't have
tasted it.
any
It's
curry.
really good.
Thank you.
Basically everything on your restaurant is really good. The momos are really good. And aludam, definitely one of the better items on the menu.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because we didn't have any curries, and I would be like, if Americans wants to have, they want to have curry, what should I, Because there are a lot of nowadays. There's a lot of vegan and gluten free, you know.
Right.
Yeah, my clientele, lot of them. So I need to have something in the menu that just the vegan momo is not gluten free because of the wrapper. So I need to have something in the menu that is vegan and gluten free so that I can attract gluten free and the vegan customers. So that's why I had to come up with a very very specific menu. I cannot have more than 8 to 10 items, and to be able to. My goal was to have I have a very big restaurant compared to what. Even now, people just order those items.
Right.
So those are the comfort food. And it's easier to maintain the consistency
Right.
of those food if you have a smaller menu, and it's easier. You don't have to think a lot of food and I hate wasting food. I do dislike wasting food. So None of our food is overnight cooked or anything. Everything is made fresh. And when you place an order, that's why our food takes at least 15 to 20 minutes. So everybody calls ahead of time to place an order because everything, I do not want to make everything earlier and waste anything. That's why very small menu.
I'm
Mhm.
curious to know how much initially did you rely on Nepali, the immigrant community, for the business versus mainstream American population? And based on your experience, can a restaurant be sustainable by only serving Nepali comfort food in a US market for mainstream American population?
Definitely not at all, because you know how Nepalese people are. You know, even me, I like to make Nepalese momo at my home and eat, like sit. You know, when you go outside and eat momo, that's just for quick. You know, it's like if you're feeling like eating momo and you just want to go grab it, you don't have time because it takes a long time to prepare momo at home. That's the only reason why Nepalese people would come to eat tasty momo, or they think it's better than what they make at home. So that's one reason why they would come to eat, grab food from ours. But it's hard just thinking about Nepalese food, Nepalese customers. It's hard. You need to have a platform. That is the reason why I put the name Tasty, so that Americans would know it's food and they would come. But by now, I would say I have 60% American, 25% Indian, 15% Nepalese customer. So I would not have survived just focusing on
Just the Nepalese
Nepalese. Yeah,
population. Right,
no,
right.
I would not have at all.
So we've heard, a restaurant business is one of the most challenging business to get in and to, most importantly, to be able to sustain it. You've managed to run it successfully for 7 years now. Can you tell us what has been the biggest reason for your success?
I would say it's a good team. My staff, everyone who's worked there or has left after they graduated, the kids, and we still have everybody who worked there stayed there for at least 2 to 4 years. Nobody just left, like worked there. Few of them, like they were trying, but that's my team. I give a lot of, like, like it's my team. They are so helpful. They're very very nice people. Like I had people like who aunties, I would call them aunties. They would come at like 6 in the morning, make dumplings for me, freeze it for me, and they would leave at certain hours whenever they're done. Never have I ever had to tell them, oh, you're doing this wrong or that. They're such a good team, all of them. I think it's not just me. Yes, I have been involved every day of my life with my restaurant, but it's my employees. They're just not, they're like family and friends.
This came to my mind. I was thinking maybe I should ask Sophia Didi whether she is interested in franchising Tasty Momo. Had you considered that?
I really haven't, because since I opened Tasty Momo, I've had so many people come in and ask we should do franchise. But Momo business is really really hard to me, because hard as in, for me it's happiness, but at the same time, you don't want to have somebody else have a franchise for it, and then they're not working hardly for it. They have to put their 100% in it. Just having just the name Tasty Momo, that may count, but your food should be just as good as what you get in Boston
Okay.
from my store. Yeah.
Right, right.
And it is hard to maintain that unless you are 200% sure that you're going to have the same taste as the Tasty Momo here. But if you really, I have it in my mind. I don't know if you have another question for me about it, but in 2 to 5 years, so my plan was to move to a bigger place. I've already done that. Now I have a bigger market now. So
Right.
I want to move to. So I'm right outside of Boston. Actually, I'm based in Somerville. So I
Okay.
want to go to Boston, because Boston is Boston. So
Right.
I want to go there. I want to open a small. Now I want to go back to having a small takeout, just like before. I already have a bigger one because that was my vision for 2 to 5 years, which I've already completed it. Now I want to go back to having the same small takeout shop that I had before in Boston. And that's my another 2 to 5 years goal now from now on.
Yeah. Can you tell us how has being a small business owner changed your outlook on the community? How has your experience and interaction been with the community members before starting the business and after starting the business?
It's been great so far because I have to tell you. So we applied. Okay. First, when I applied for the, because you have to get a license, right? And I went for a meeting, and everybody will be there. It's a meeting for the city, and then I went there, and the guy who said, okay, you can open a restaurant, he deep in, okay, I got a license, right? After 5 years, I went back to the same place to get the license, and the guy who was there 5 years ago told me that, oh wow, you're still in business, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And then he goes, I'm moving to a bigger place actually. And he goes, if I really have to tell you something, like the truth, I thought you were not gonna survive. And
Wow.
he's a Somerville council member.
Mhm.
And he told, at that time when you tried to open your business around that area, lots of businesses were closed, and you were trying to start food that nobody ever knew. I didn't know what that was, but now I'm your customer. My daughter-in-law comes there all the time, and that made me so happy. I'm actually well recognized in Somerville, and that makes me happy. And we do talk a lot. They give me ideas on what to do, and some of the members were coming up to me and asking me if I should do, with the liquor license, because I don't serve liquor even now, even being in a big restaurant. So they actually give me ideas and help me when I go for planning and zoning ideas. They will come up to me, and they know me actually. They call me the little dumpling girl, because I was
Okay.
24, 25 at back in the days, and they would call me, oh, the little dumpling girl is here, and they would do my paperwork right away.
I would
So
say now I would say dumpling, Momo Queen,
oh,
the
thank
right
you.
term. Yeah.
And yeah, so the community has been great, and they recently, with the COVID, the pandemic, they sent out email to everybody asking whoever needs a loan, they could apply for it, right? And I applied for it, and I was one of the 330 applicants that was selected for the COVID loan.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I meant to ask you, how has the business been since the COVID pandemic? I'm sure, like, I know, like, a lot of businesses we keep hearing on the news are being affected. How has it impacted your business, and what have you had to change in terms of, operations? How are you handling things, and what's the future look like after COVID?
Yeah. Well, after COVID, I expect my business to boom. But for
We hope
now,
so too.
we're only doing takeout. We closed for a month because we just wanted to be safe, and obviously help the community by not exposing COVID. And we closed for a month, and after that we've been open, and it's not as busy because there's no dine in, but we are good with takeout because we've always known for takeout. So it's great actually. It's I would say, even in the times of COVID, we have business going on. We have all our staff working full hours like they do, and I have my hours working. So I think we're still doing great. I just miss my customers who used to come see me, talk to us, and they enjoyed looking in the kitchen. We miss that. We definitely miss that. We can't wait this COVID to be over, like everybody else.
We talked about a lot of challenges. I want to ask you, what are some of the things that you are grateful for, or what's been like rewarding? Any fun experience that you have had, customer interactions, anything like that?
It's my personality growth actually. That's what I'm grateful for with this business. I've been more confident. I've been able to make decisions on my own. I take chances on things that I think it's not okay, but I still do, take part in it. And with customers, they before, when you come from Nepal, you sound very mean when you say hi, or you don't talk at all. But now I'm more very friendly, and I talk to them like they're my friends. And I have one customer. He's been coming there since 2015, I think. He's an old guy. He's in his mid 60s. He comes in there once in a week, and he gets same food every time he comes in. And he's one of my biggest customer because I'm happy to see him, and he teaches me about the stock market, and he brings the newspaper for me, and he tells me what's going on in the world, and how has everything been affected, or what it's like to happen. He's one of my great, like, I have many young customers, returning customers, but he's been a little, I've been blessed with him. He's like a mentor, he helps
Right.
me. Yeah, he helps me with like finance, and if I ask him questions, he would try to dig out the information for me. He's, I feel really lucky to be owning a restaurant where I have so many returning customers.
And along that line, you know, you mentioned, overcoming certain things like, being more approachable, getting out of your own comfort zone. Are there any other things that you have learned about yourself being a CEO and starting your own business?
Before, with I used to be like, I used to get mad right like this. If something doesn't get done, like the first year was very hard with my staff, because I'm already so like stressed out, because I just opened a business, and then my kitchen is already too tight, and then I have staff to manage, and I used to get so mad. Like, I used to be like, not, I never yelled at anybody or screamed, like saying something bad, but there have been times where I'm like a little louder. I'm like, hey, like, but now that has mellowed down. I, instead of yelling or screaming or being rude about something, I tell them in a very, either it's a very diplomatic way, or I go in a sarcastic way, because that would make people laugh too. They know what I'm trying to say, but at the same time, they know how I said it too.
One thing I quickly wanted to ask you was if you feel free to, not answer it if you don't feel comfortable, but
Mhm.
um, I'm always curious, like with starting small business, especially with restaurants, right? How long did it take you to, like, break even or like start making profit in the business? I'm just curious what's, like, normal
Oh,
time for it. May vary for different people, but from your experience.
yes, people say it takes 3 years. People say, okay, if you're in business for 3 years, then you're good to go. Like, you're an established business. I didn't have a doubt since day one, because well, I had already marketed for it from Kickstarter and Facebook, Instagram. I had already, and obviously word of mouth was the biggest marketing sector for me. I didn't ever put a money towards it. I didn't ever put money towards marketing. It helped me. I'm so blessed considering all these things. I mean, I opened the first day. We were cleaning the restaurant. We had already constructed the business, and I opened the restaurant. We didn't even have the open sign on. We're like open. We left the door open, and people started walking in. We were cleaning the whole day. We started once we were set up with the restaurant. We cleaned everything, and then we were like, okay, let's just. And we started making momos. We had few momos, because you never know who would walk in. And then
Mhm.
around 6 o'clock, people started coming in, and it was in April 1st, 2015, people started walking in, and I had a sales of $191 in an hour. So that
Wow.
was that was that was bogo, like, it was great. I didn't think that would happen in the first day. And after that, I always had, if you like, break even. Now my business is very big compared to what I had before. So the first business, the smaller business, I was doing great. Even in the bigger one, I'm doing great, but because of COVID, it's hard, and we always break even. I've never felt that, oh, I should wait until it gets to that point. I feel like I've been so lucky that we've been doing great since day one. I didn't even worry about it. Like, first, before I opened the restaurant, I had a business plan. Like I told you, I had a business plan, and I wanted to do certain things. It didn't work out, but it did help. I never go look back and think that when did it not do good. I didn't have to think that way.
That's
I'm
amazing.
lucky. I'm just so helpful to all my supporters and customers, my clientele. They've been coming there all the time and helping me out. It's good actually. It's hard for many people to open a restaurant, and then I see some people come to me and ask me, oh hey, I opened a restaurant, but I'm having a hard time, what should I do? I have had few people come in and ask me such questions, but for me, I do not know, because I've been lucky. We've been doing great so far.
So I know we've come to almost 1 hour 40 minutes. So I have few questions, and then we can start wrapping things up. And I know
All
you
right.
have to go back to your
I have to go
restaurant.
back to
So
work at 12. Yeah.
really quickly, so I asked this to all of my guests. Do you do you have any favorite books that have had an impact on you?
What got you here won't get you there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the book that I read last. But I've read few books, but I don't read the whole book. That's just me. I just read whatever I feel like to. And that book is actually quite for young people who's already in business or who's trying to open one. They should read that book, because that has a lot of information about how to be successful. Even okay, you're successful. It's more like how successful people become more successful. That's the book. That's what you have to. I think that's one book that I really really liked about having a business.
You mentioned a few times about like the customer who came in and gave you advice. Did you had any mentors while you were starting, or do you have mentors now who help you in terms
uh,
of managing things?
well, I have few people, few friends, not my like circle of friends, but there are like few people that I knew. They were in business. I just usually ask them like questions if I had any doubts. But as a mentor, not really a mentor. I didn't have a mentor. You know, I just asked them for help, like few people. That's about it. Yeah.
Got you. And are there any habits or routines that you follow on a day-to-day basis that helps you, or if you care to share, like what you know first 90 minutes of your day looks like?
My day starts with my dog. I love my dog. He's the best thing happened to me after my restaurant. So my day usually starts my night, like when I go to bed. Obviously, I think of what I didn't work today, what should be done tomorrow. I plan, and then next day I get up. My 3 hours in the morning goes by walking my dog Ted, and that's the time I think about. That's why I got Ted actually. That's why I got my dog, because I was not able to manage time for myself. Because you need time for yourself if you want to think about business, or if you want to do something in life also, because I was so focused just at my work, like my first 2 years of business, work, work, work. I didn't go out. I didn't have to party. Nothing, like not even party. I hardly went out with my friends, and I, I used to cry inside if I had to take a day off to go out, because I really didn't want to leave my work. I love my work that much. So but ever since I got Ted, my dog, he has helped me in many ways. Like I go take him for a walk, and I manage time for myself. And when you love yourself, you have to love yourself to do something better in life. And that's what I've learned from him. And when we go for a walk, I think about my business. I look, we go to park and he plays, but then I'm in my phone, looking at my sales or doing something and how I can do it. He has helped me mentally, like grow. He's been one of the best part of my life.
Great. And before we wrap things up, I want to quickly ask you, what advice would you give someone who wants to follow their dream of starting their own business or a creative journey, but are
Mm-hmm.
afraid of making that leap? Do you have any suggestions or any words based on your experience that you have?
I mean, if you're planning to open a restaurant, then you have to think wisely. You have to think wisely. You have to make a lot of commitment towards it. It won't come easily if that is for the restaurant business. But for others, since I don't have much idea, you should follow your dream. If you have to listen to your heart. If you don't, then later you don't want to regret.
I bet you get a lot of requests from people in the community regarding um, opening restaurants or just seeking some advice. Would you be open to like mentoring, or would you care to um, share your knowledge? If you're comfortable, would you be willing to share some information about how they can find you?
Yes, yes, of course. I would be really, really grateful to mentor or help anyone who wants to open a restaurant. I think that's what we live for. We are born for helping people. So, yeah, you can just email me at sophythakali@gmail.com, or just go to Tasty Momo website and email me, or follow me on Instagram and you can message me, or Facebook. You can just find Tasty Momo anywhere,
Gotcha.
and
And
yeah,
I'll
and
take
PM
that
me.
from that information from you so I can add it to the show notes. Any final words before we part ways, Didi?
My last words are: be safe in these COVID times, and don't forget to wear your mask. Besides that, be grateful for the life you have, and just follow your dream and your heart. You'll get somewhere. That's what I want to say.
Awesome, Didi. Thank you so much for being on the show. I know you're very busy. You're managing a lot of things, and with the new restaurant and COVID situation. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and I feel super inspired by your journey, learning from where you started, and where you are and where you're headed. So I wish you all the best for everything that you're doing today. More success with Tasty Momo, and hopefully we'll get to see another pop up
Yes.
at Boston.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear how things turn out, in the future, and also be safe, during this quarantine time with COVID. Good luck to
Thank
you,
you.
and thank you for
And
being
good
on the
luck to
show.
you as well. I can't wait to see you prosper in your podcast show. I
Awesome.
can't wait to see you face to face as well.
Thank you, Didi. If I'm in the Boston area, I'll definitely, come through and say
Yeah, yeah,
hello.
come
And
by. I have a bigger menu now
okay, for
because
sure.
I'm trying to let Americans know what Thakali Thali is. So that was the goal of having a bigger restaurant, and we're doing good so far. So come by, and I hope I get to see you in person.
Awesome. Thank you, Didi. Hey guys, before we part ways, I want to thank you for tuning in today. If you found this content useful, please subscribe to this channel. It'll help the channel grow and also help others find the podcast as well. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram at The Aim High Show. It's spelled TheAimHighShow. Feel free to say hello or let me know what you think of the podcast. Once again, thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.